So that's great, and that's reading really nicely against all of the background information that we have. But what about cite sections? So I noticed that in the first exercise, not very many people marked the sections that they drew on their site plans, and that's totally fine because I don't think that Sarah had mentioned that as part of the requirements. But for all of the drawings that we do going forward, we would like to always correspond our sections to our plans. So I'm going to work on the same layer. Actually, I'm going to go back to annotation. I'm going to work on the annotation layer. And I'm going to imagine where I've cut sections on the site. Of course, I haven't been actually cutting sections here, but I'm just going to show you how I might set out 7 to 9 sections on this pathway. So it's really easy to create a section cut line. The important thing to do is to show the beginning and the end of the cut line, as well as the direction that you're looking. So on my annotation layer, I'm going to use I could use the pen tool, or I could go here to this rectangle tool and go down to the line segment, and I can draw a line where I've cut my first path. So let's say, for example, my first section is right here. You notice it takes on the characteristic of the line that I drew previously. So I'm just going to go up to my stroke and uncheck the dashed line and just leave it as this relatively thick line. Maybe I'll just turn it down to 10 like that. So this is the first place that I imagine myself cutting a section as I enter the site and have the community garden on one side and the parking lot on the other side. And to indicate which direction our section cut is looking, we need to give it a tick or a couple of ticks. So I'm going to use the line segment tool again. I'm going to turn this down a little bit more so that there's more contrast. But basically what we want to do is create a section cut that shows us where the section is and where we're looking. The ticks always go in the direction to which we're looking. So in this scenario, we would have cut the section here and we would be looking south. So the view of the section is south. Now I can just create a group out of these by selecting everything and using Control-G to create a group. And now I can just copy and paste this section around my path. So I'm going to use Alt to copy this over here. And let's say my second section is in this direction. And then I have another section over here at the platform, and that's in this direction. Okay, let's say I have 8 sections total. Now the other thing we want to do is make sure that we label the sections as a sequence. So you might want to use your text tool here to give these sections a name. Usually we use letters like A, B, C, D, E to denote which sections are corresponding to the drawings. So you could use that. I would just put like A and obviously make your text legible. If you wanted to label this, the real convention would be labeling it AA, but you can just put a letter next to it as well if you want. If you have to put your label over top of something else, like let's say, for example, I want to put it here and it's kind of overlapping the tree, what I can do is just create a little wipeout box behind it, and I can use this rectangle tool to create a box like this and just set the fill of the box to white. So I'm just going to select white, and then I'm going to just go arrange and send backwards, and I'm going to keep doing that until it is behind the letter. And I can just use this shortcut Control and left parentheses to do that, but it only took 2 clicks in order for that to happen. Great, so now you have your section series located on your plan, as well as your path. So you also are doing a transverse site section, and depending on where you locate that, the process is exactly the same as using these little section markers. So I'm going to pretend that my site section is through here, and I'm going to go back to my annotation, and this time I'm just going to use the pen tool to draw it. So I'm going to start over here on the street, and I'm going to end it over here on the other side of the street. And I can just end this by pressing down Control and clicking off the line. And then if I use the selection tool and select this line, and then I use the eyedropper tool by pressing I can just copy the line type of my other section cut. So I'm doing that. And now I just need to use ticks to indicate which direction this section is looking. So I'm going to go down here and draw a line. I'm going to say it's looking in this direction. And now I will just select all of those elements and group them together using Control G. And now I have my annotation of my transverse section as well. You'll want to give this a marker as well. So if your last section on the serial sections is H, maybe you want to call this section I, and that way you can just keep differentiating the section cuts like that.